What if Prince Harry isn't a rebel but a prisoner in his own life? That's the shocking theory insiders are pushing, one that alleges a dark game of manipulation and blackmail is playing out behind the scenes. What you're about to hear is the alleged story, and it's darker than any official headline. In the war against his own family, the first casualty wasn't a reputation. It was the memory of Prince Harry's own mother, allegedly sacrificed for the launch of a lifestyle brand.
She definitely has collateral on Harry, because there is absolutely no way that Prince William would be letting this happen if she was not blackmailing him.
When Meghan Markle unveiled American Riviera Orchard, it was presented as a wholesome return to her passions. But the timing and branding revealed a far more complex and hostile strategy. American was a defiant assertion of her own identity, a planting of her flag. Riviera was a calculated co-opting of European luxury and old-world prestige, and Orchard suggested a wholesome, organic, farm-to-table lifestyle. For critics, this name was the entire Sussex strategy in microcosm, an attempt to package an American celebrity identity with a veneer of borrowed European royalty, all while claiming an authenticity that felt completely manufactured. But the true poison was in the timing. The brand was launched on the birthday of Princess Diana.
He's used his mother to sell it. Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one?
This was not a coincidence. In the world of strategic public relations, there are no coincidences of this magnitude. This was a deliberate choice, a calculated act of emotional provocation aimed squarely at one person, Prince William. Insiders describe it as a brazen test of boundaries, a move designed to trigger the future king by targeting his most painful emotional wound. It was an act of breathtaking cruelty, launching a brand that would feature celebratory items like wine and cocktail napkins on the anniversary of a woman who died in a horrific alcohol-related crash. It was a move designed to prove that nothing was sacred, that even the most profound traumas of the royal family were now fair game for commercial exploitation. For Prince William, who has spent his entire adult life guarding his mother's legacy with a quiet dignity, this was the ultimate violation. It was the pain of seeing his mother, a global icon and the source of his deepest grief, reduced to a brand accessory, a casual marketing peg for a jam and cutlery business. It was a desecration that was both public and deeply personal, an unforgivable act of war. 2017, to the 20th anniversary of Diana's death, the nation was gripped by a fresh wave of remembrance, and at the center of it stood her two sons, William and Harry. United in their grief, they presented a powerful, poignant front. They spoke of their mother with love, and they gave the world a sense of healing and continuity. It was during this intensely emotional time that they made a private, solemn promise to one another, a sacred vow that their mother's legacy would never be exploited or commercialized. This pact was a direct response to the ghoulish media circus that had followed Diana in life and had attempted to commodify her in death. It was a vow made between brothers who had survived a unique trauma, a promise to protect their mother from the very forces that had destroyed her.
Lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother. Made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia.
Now, fast forward to the era of Netflix and Spare. That sacred vow lies in ruins, and according to royal insiders, it is Harry who willingly handed over the hammer. The 6-part Netflix docu-series was a masterclass in the exploitation William and Harry had sworn to prevent. It repeatedly used images of a hunted, distressed Diana, juxtaposing them with footage of Meghan looking sad, creating a deliberate and, many say, manipulative visual link between their situations. Most offensively, it included extensive clips from the infamous Martin Bashir interview, an interview that a formal inquiry concluded was obtained through deceit, and which William has publicly stated should never be aired again.
It is my view that the deceitful way the interview was obtained substantially influenced what my mother said. It brings indescribable sadness to know that the BBC's failures contributed significantly to her fear, paranoia, and isolation.
For Harry to participate in and profit from a project that defied his brother's explicit and public wish was a stunning act of defiance. Then came the book Spare. In its pages, Diana was no longer just a beloved mother but a narrative device. Her memory was invoked to justify Harry's grievances, her trauma used as a shield against criticism. Critics pointed to bizarre and unsettling passages, such as his claim of applying his mother's favorite cream to a frostbitten private part, as evidence of a memory being not just exploited, but fetishized. For Prince William, this was the point of no return. It was the final, irrefutable proof that the brother he once knew, the man who had stood beside him in a garden of white roses to honor their mother, was gone. He had been replaced by a man who was willing to monetize their deepest shared tragedy for profit and public sympathy, shattering their sacred vow in the process. The betrayal was absolute. This brings us to the central, agonizing question of this entire saga. Why? Why would a prince, born to immense privilege and once beloved by the world, embark on a scorched earth campaign to systematically dismantle his own family and his past? The simple explanations, the ones that are comfortable and easy to digest, have begun to wear thin under the weight of the evidence. Some suggest he is simply a man so deeply in love that he is willing to sacrifice everything for his wife. But this fairy tale narrative crumbles when you consider that true partnership does not typically demand the complete annihilation of one's own identity and family. It is an explanation that, frankly, insults his intelligence and suggests he has no agency of his own. To understand the effect of this alleged control, one need only look at the man himself. The evidence is written all over his face. Remember the old Harry? The laughing soldier who joked with his comrades in Afghanistan, the cheeky uncle who photobombed athletes at the Invictus Games, the man who possessed an effortless charm that came from a place of genuine confidence and security. He was the royal family's greatest asset, the people's prince, who connected with the public in a way no other royal could. Now, look at the man we see today. That easy charm has been replaced by a taut, nervous tension. The laughter seems forced. The smiles rarely reach his eyes. In public appearances, he often seems like a man performing a role he has not fully memorized, his posture hunched and his gaze distant. He clutches Meghan's hand not with the relaxed affection of a partner, but with the desperate grip of a man seeking a lifeline in a hostile sea. The dynamic between them has shifted into something that looks unnervingly like a handler and their asset. Watch closely during their joint interviews. Harry frequently glances at Meghan before answering a question, a fleeting, almost imperceptible check for approval. He parrots her uniquely American therapeutic vocabulary, words like "my truth," "lived experience," and "generational pain," phrases that were never part of his lexicon before. This has led many to believe he is not speaking from the heart, but from a script written by someone else, designed to advance a specific narrative. His public pronouncements about freedom have begun to sound tragically ironic, like the desperate cries of a man who has never been less free. His rage, directed almost exclusively at his family and the press, can be seen as a classic case of transferred aggression. Unable to lash out at the true source of his predicament, he instead attacks the family that represents the life he has lost.
Edited. I think Diana, we all know Diana would be shocked that we're sitting here today discussing her son as an outright liar.
Nowhere is this tragic transformation more poignant than at the Invictus Games. This was his creation, his passion, his soul's purpose. It was the one place where he was truly a leader, where his identity was his own. But in recent years, even this sacred space has been co-opted. The focus has subtly shifted from the wounded warriors and their incredible stories to the celebrity power couple at the center of it all. The Invictus Games, his greatest achievement, has been absorbed into the Sussex brand, another platform to be monetized and managed. It's the ultimate symbol of his predicament. Even the thing he built to empower others has become another part of his own gilded cage. This raises the most heartbreaking question of all. Is the old Harry, the laughing soldier, still in there somewhere? Or has the performance now completely consumed the man, leaving only a hollowed-out prince playing a part in his own tragedy? What would redemption even look like? The path back, if one exists at all, would require a gesture that seems entirely beyond Harry's current capacity, a complete and total capitulation. It would demand a full-throated, public apology, not just for the hurt caused, but for the strategic and calculated nature of the attacks. It would require him to retreat from the public eye, abandon the commercialization of his title, and accept a life of quiet penitence. Because this seems so fundamentally impossible, the rift feels tragically permanent. There is no easy third act to this story. In the end, the story of Harry and Meghan may not be remembered as a fairy tale romance or a struggle for freedom. Instead, it will be seen as a cautionary tale about the corrosive nature of grievance and the corrupting influence of unchecked ambition. It is the story of a prince who, in a desperate quest to escape the cage he was born into, appears to have built himself a new one. The final, unwritten act of this drama hangs in the air, leaving us with a single haunting question. In waging a war against his family, his country, and his past, was Prince Harry fighting for his freedom, or was he fighting a devastating war against himself? And in that war, it now seems absolutely everyone lost. What if the public drama we see playing out in the royal family is just a smokescreen? What if, behind the headlines and carefully managed photo ops, a much darker and more calculated psychological game is being waged? A startling theory has begun to emerge from the whispers of royal insiders and the analysis of seasoned commentators. A theory that, if true, reframes the entire saga from a simple family feud into a story of alleged manipulation and control. And that's a wrap! If today's scoop had you raising an eyebrow or two, tap that like button to let us know. Got a hot take or inside tea? Drop it in the comments so the whole crew can weigh in. Not part of the fam yet? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because the next twist is always one upload away.